Hello and welcome to another English Plus podcast episode. In this episode, we're going to focus on vocabulary building. This is the vocabulary builder episode that we're going to have at the beginning of every week. Ben and I are going to talk about 20 words in this episode. We're going to talk about the meaning of these words. We're going to talk about synonyms, and of course, we're going to put this word in a useful, easy to understand sentence for you to understand these words. So without further ado, let's get cracking. I'm going to go through this very simply. I'm going to start with the word. I'm going to make sure that you know how to write this word by spelling it out. And Ben is going to help me, especially with the part that has to do with synonyms and antonyms for this word. Because remember, it is important to learn new words, and synonyms and antonyms that we add to our knowledge of these words is going to help us down the line by having alternatives of the words we already know, and that will add richness and variety to our writing and obviously speaking. So let's start with our first word for the day, acquit. Acquit is spelled A-C-Q-U-I-T. And it is a little bit tricky, to be honest, especially the spelling of this word, A-C-Q, remember that. Acquit is a verb, and it means to declare not guilty, free from blame, discharge completely, or to conduct or behave oneself. For example, we say now that we have proof of their innocence, we can acquit them of all charges. So Ben, what synonyms and antonyms do you have for us for the word acquit?
Well, for acquit, we have synonyms and we have two words for that, exonerate and dismiss. And as antonyms for acquit, we have the word convict or declare guilty.
Thank you, Ben. Now let's move straight away to the second word, and that is deem. D-E-E-M. Deem is a verb, and it means to think, believe, to consider, or to have an opinion. For example, we say most people deem it a wise plan to set aside savings for the future. They think it is a good idea. Ben?
Well, synonyms for deem are the words judge or regard.
Very good. Now for our third word, devastate. Now devastate is a verb, and it is spelled D-E-V-A-S-T-A-T-E. Devastate. And it means to destroy, to lay waste, or to leave in ruins. For example, failure or harsh criticism can devastate a person who has shaky self-esteem. I hope you're not that kind of person, because failure and harsh criticism is gonna happen no matter what you do, no matter how good you are. So that should not devastate you. That should not destroy you. Ben?
Well, I agree with you on that. Nobody should be devastated because of some harsh criticism or failure. But for our synonyms for devastate, we have wreck and desolate, and antonyms we have develop or improve.
Thank you, Ben. Now we have the fourth word, and that is discredit. D-I-S-C-R-E-D-I-T. Discredit. Discredit is a verb, and it means to throw doubt upon, cause to be disturbed, or to damage in reputation. And discredit can also be used as a noun, and it means a loss or lack of belief, confidence, or reputation. For example, we have gathered a considerable amount of evidence to discredit her story. And we use discredit here as a verb, and we can use it as a noun as well. We have this example. Both parents and students felt strongly that the cheating scandal was a discredit to the school. It was a discredit, so we used it here as a noun. Well, Ben?
Okay, so the word we have here is discredit. We can use another word with a similar meaning, and that is disparage. And for antonyms for the word discredit, we have confirm, corroborate, and bolster. And these are all verbs I talked about here.
Okay, Ben. Thank you. Now we have our fifth word for today, elusive. E-L-U-S-I-V-E. Elusive. It's an adjective, and it means difficult to catch or to hold, or we can say hard to explain or understand. And that is the meaning of elusive. For example, according to legend, Zorro, the heroic Mexican character, was too elusive for local police to capture. You all remember the movie Zorro, of course, and it was like that. He was very difficult to catch. He ran away every time. Every time they came close to catching him, he just managed to escape. So he was elusive. Ben?
Yeah, I remember the movie. He was actually very elusive. Anyway, the synonyms for elusive are the words slippery, wily, fleeting, puzzling, or baffling.
Very well. Now, word number 6, generate. 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 It is a verb and it means to bring into existence or to be the cause of. For example, we say solar power uses the energy of the sun to generate electricity, to bring electricity into existence. Ben?
We have synonyms for generate, and these are the words create, produce, beget, and cause. And the antonyms are the words end, terminate, extinguish, and stifle.
Great. Now we have word number 7, idolize. I-D-O-L-I-Z-E. Idolize. And it means to worship as an idol, to make an idol of somebody, or simply to love very much. For example, teens who idolize a movie star may repeatedly see the same movie featuring that actor or actress. Ben?
Yes, we can see that a lot happening these days, and it has happened all the time. People idolize movie stars. They love them so much, sometimes too much actually. But anyway, we have our synonyms for idolize, and these are the words adore and revere. And the antonyms are the words despise, scorn, disdain, or detest, which are the complete opposite.
Thank you, Ben. Now, word number 8, ingratitude. I-N-G-R-A-T-I-T-U-D-E. Ingratitude. And it means a lack of thankfulness. For example, hosts who make every effort to please their guests are apt to be hurt by ingratitude. When you do something good to other people, it doesn't matter whether you're doing it because you're waiting for them to thank you or not. But definitely if they are ungrateful, if you face their ingratitude, it's gonna hurt. So what about the synonyms and antonyms of ingratitude?
Well, the synonyms are thanklessness or ungratefulness. And the antonyms are thankfulness, gratefulness, and recognition.
Thank you, Ben. Now, word number 9, keepsake. And that is Keepsake. Keepsake. And keepsake is something kept in memory of the giver, just like a souvenir. For example, before my grandmother died, she made me a special quilt as a keepsake of her love, something to remember her by. A keepsake. Sometimes you tend to take something as a keepsake. Sometimes people give you something to remember them by as a keepsake. So, do we have synonyms for that?
Yes, of course we do. We have words like reminder and memento.
All right. Now we have word number 10, mortal. M-O-R-T-A-L. Mortal. And as a noun, mortal means a being that must eventually die. Just like us, just like all other animals or plants. They're not meant to live forever. We are going to die one day. So every human being is essentially a mortal. Or mortal can also be used as an adjective, and that means of or relating to such a being that must eventually die. Or it could mean something else. It could mean something that causes death, causing death, or something fatal, or we can simply use it, or we can use it in a different meaning, as in possible or conceivable. Now, for example, In the mythology of many cultures, a heavenly god can come down to earth and act as a mortal, as a being that must eventually die. Another example, and this time I'm going to use mortal as an adjective. The soldier was the only one in her battalion to suffer a mortal injury. Now, the injury on its own is dangerous or may be dangerous, but when an injury is mortal, that means this injury will probably cause the death of this person. Any synonyms and antonyms in mind, Ben?
Yes. Synonyms for mortal as a noun, we have obviously the word human. When we say we are human, that means we are going to die one day. We cannot live forever. And as an adjective, we have the adjectives fleeting or extreme. As for antonyms, we have the word a god, which is the opposite. And antonyms as adjectives, we have the adjectives undying, everlasting, eternal, and divine.
Very well. Now we have our 11th word, ovation, and that is O-V-A-T-I-O-N, ovation. It is a noun and it means an enthusiastic public welcome or an outburst of applause. For example, the audience gave the dancer a standing ovation after his impressive performance. Ben?
Well, the synonyms for ovation are the words cheers, bravos, or hurrahs. And the antonyms are boos or jeers.
All right. Of course, nobody likes boos. We all likes hurrahs, bravos, and obviously the ovation. I hope you all get that, not the boos or the jeers. Now let's move to the next word, and that is petty. P-E-T-T-Y. Petty. And it's an adjective which means unimportant, trivial, narrow-minded, secondary in rank, or minor. For example, you say my complaint is petty, but to me it is an issue of great importance. So petty is something that is simply trivial, unimportant. Something that we shouldn't waste our time talking about, because obviously it's not that important. It's not worth it. So, Ben, what do you have for us?
Well, for petty, the synonyms are the words insignificant and piddling. And the antonyms are the words important, major, significant, and weighty.
Very good. Now the next word is plight. P-L-I-G-H-T. Plight. And it means a sorry condition or state as a noun, but we can use plight as a verb as well, and it means to pledge or to promise solemnly, like to make an oath. For example, the plight of the homeless upsets many concerned citizens. And plight here is used as a noun, but look at plight as a verb as well. Wedding guests watch the bride and groom plight their undying love. Now I can see Ben is signaling me to move to the next word. It seems that we don't have antonyms and synonyms for this word. Anyway, let's move to the word repent. And that is the next word. It is a verb that means to feel sorry for what one has done or has failed to do. For example, as people grow older and gain more maturity, some of them come to repent their youthful mistakes. Well, to be honest, I'm against any kind of repent. I'm with the idea of learning from your mistakes rather than repenting them, because repenting them is not going to bring the past back so that you can fix it. And guess what? If the past comes back, you might as well do it again. Nobody really knows, because when you did it, even if it was a mistake, it's part of you. You should embrace it, learn from it, and make amends if you can. Anyway, I'm not going to be a philosopher here, but the word repent means this. Ben, do you have any synonyms and antonyms for this word?
Yes, for this one I have a synonym, and that is to regret, which might be the word that is more common. And as for antonyms, I have the word rejoice over.
All right, very good. Now we have the next word, reverie, and that is R-E-V-E-R-I-E, reverie. A reverie is a noun, and it means a daydream or the condition of being lost in thought. For example, my boss interrupted my deep and pleasant reverie by reminding me about our deadline. I'm sure many of you have been there before when you are so excited about something. Sometimes it's not a reverie. Sometimes it's just like you are so excited, or you're doing something that you really love and your boss keeps reminding you of that deadline. I mean, the word itself, deadline, is bad. Anyway, do we have a word that has a similar meaning to reverie?
Yes, the synonyms are the words fantasy and meditation. Well, they might be a little bit different because fantasy is something that is completely not true, and meditation can be something good, actually, and it might not be a daydream. There are some differences, and that is what you need to know when we talk about synonyms and antonyms. They're not the exact same meaning, but they're words that are close in meaning. You can use them sometimes interchangeably, but sometimes you have to be careful. They have specific meanings that are slightly different. So you have to dig in and you have to find out these differences. But it's always good to have more than one word to express something you want to say. And that's why we're giving you synonyms and antonyms for the words you are learning in this vocabulary builder.
That's right, Ben. Thank you for this clarification. I can't agree more. And now let's move to our next word, revocation. And that is R-E-V-O-C-A-T-I-O-N. And it's a noun. It means an act or instance of calling back, an annulment or cancellation of something. For example, his failure to complete the job according to schedule led to a revocation of his contract. Now, the contract was there. He was entitled to do this job, and there was a contract. It was official. But because he failed to perform, there was a revocation. Essentially, it was canceled. So, do we have synonyms and antonyms for that?
Well, yeah, we do. Now, the synonyms are the words repeal or withdrawal, and antonyms are the words ratification and confirmation.
All right. Now, our next word, scan. S-C-A-N. Scan. And as a verb, scan means to examine closely or to look over quickly but thoroughly. It can also mean to analyze the rhythm of a poem, and that is also called to scan. And scan as well as a noun means an examination. For example, let's scan the list to see the finishing times of each marathon runner. And that doesn't mean to read in details every single letter or number in this case. No, it's just scanning. Look over quickly but thoroughly. You don't want to miss a thing. And we have another example for scan as a noun. The doctor did a bone scan to discover the location of each fracture. And it simply means an examination. Any synonyms here?
Yeah. The synonyms for scan as a verb are the words study, glance at, or skim. And as a noun, but it can also be a verb as well, it is the word survey.
Very good. Now 3 more words to go. Stay with us. We have the word strand, and that is S-T-R-A-N-D. Strand as a noun means a beach or shore, a string of wire, hair, etc. As a verb, it means to drive or run aground or to leave in a hopeless position. For example, we asked the waiter to take back the soup when we discovered a strand of hair in it. And obviously that, I'm not saying a common thing, but that is a possible thing. It might have happened to a lot of you to find a strand of hair in your food. And that can be disgusting, of course. Anyway, that is our first example, and that was strand in the first meaning as a noun, and now strand as a verb. I don't want to be the third out in the inning and strand the 2 base runners. That is obviously in baseball. Anyway, do we have synonyms and antonyms for that?
Yes, we do. Now, synonyms for strand as a noun are the words fiber or thread. As a verb, we have the words abandon or maroon. For antonyms, we have the verbs rescue and save as the opposite of strand.
Very good. Now we have the word strife. S-T-R-I-F-E. Strife. Strife is a noun and it means bitter disagreement, fighting, or struggle. For example, the experienced senator from South Carolina was a veteran of political strife, political fighting, struggle, or disagreement. Any synonyms and antonyms for that?
Yes, we have the synonyms conflict, discord, or turmoil. And the antonyms are the words peace, calm, harmony, and agreement.
Very good. Now we have our last word for today, and thank you for sticking around to reach this last word. And this is word number 20. 20 words in 1 week. That means, if you want, 4 words a day. But that's just a suggestion. You can take them any way you want. Now, for our last word for today is the word topple. Topple is spelled T-O-P-P-L-E. And topple is a verb, and it means to fall forward, to overturn, or to bring about the downfall of. For example, the trains that rumble past our apartment often cause books to topple from the shelves. To topple, that simply means to fall forward because of the vibration the train causes. Do we have synonyms and antonyms for that?
Yes, we do. The synonyms are unseat, upset, and tumble. And the antonyms are remain upright, establish, and set up.
Thank you very much, Ben, for the invaluable information that you provided with the synonyms and antonyms. And thank you everybody for listening to us. And I hope you find that useful. And I hope you stick around every week to have these 20 words that are going to enrich your English language. These words are not the only words you're going to use in your conversation or in your writing, but definitely inserting a word here and there from these rich words are going to make your writing and speaking a lot better. So I hope you find that beneficial, but remember, that's not everything. Because learning new words is never going to happen just by listening to a podcast. It is a very good idea to practice too. And I made that very simple for you. And I created a worksheet that has a crossword puzzle, a word search, a multiple choice activity, an activity to check your spelling, all in one PDF that you're going to find a link to in the description of this episode. And you will also find links to the set that we have today of these 20 words in Quizlet, which is a very useful platform you can use for free to learn vocabulary. You just follow the link and you can practice the words anywhere you want, on your phones, on your computers, just any device that you have available. And there are also 2 links, one for a crossword puzzle and another for a word search, that are online versions of the crossword puzzle and the word search activity that you can do also on any device online if you prefer the electronic version. If you want something concrete to write on, remember, you have the PDF, you can download it for free, and it will help you retain these 20 words and add them to your active vocabulary list. This is Danny and Ben saying thank you very much for listening to us, and I must say that I'm so grateful that you stuck around and waited for us. We stopped adding new episodes in this podcast for quite a long time now, and now we're back. And actually, we've changed the show's name from Perfect English to English Plus, but the content is still the same. Nothing has changed, and I can still promise you great content every week. So stick around, learn English, make your English better, and I'll do my best to help you achieve that. Until next time, this is your host, Danny, saying thank you very much. I'll see you around.